Boys and girls, it is classified 4 a.m. Well, 3:30 a.m. Let's go on that. And we have some good news. Well, officially, it's a universal release for the ban list. So August 31st, across the board, we all get affected, English and JP. Now, that's going to be good. And we have a rules change for us as well. We finally get the update where we get a couple things that are good and kind of fixes a little bit of issues. So without further ado, let's dive in the video and talk about it. So first off, let's go over the rules change. I can't click the link right now because that's always a pain in the butt, but this is an effective August 31st, 2024. This makes it so, if you guys know, there was a little bit of confusion with rulings and changes the main area of the field. We'll be now classifying the breeding area. So now that area allows it so overflow mechanics, if you use the your Sills effect to take your Royal Knight aces, put it underneath it, the overflow won't activate. So that's just what everyone was big confusion. It just made that ruling better. The simultaneous triggers with ruling checks now. This now changes up so that Leviamon's, if you have a Digimon like Mugen, Machine Dramon, Chaos Dramon X with Mugen underneath it with the protection skills, as long as you have enough resources, you can protect itself multiple times. Now that Leviamon can't just go like, well, it's the only Digimon, you only get one protection. No, you can use your multi-protection skills now properly. This is just a rule change. Counter timings, just normal flow and weave and flow. Text rules, and then Quantumon's kind of fixed now because Quantumon had a weird bug in itself, right? That it made it so that when you would use Quantumon, technically, if you called Digi, Quantum made itself affected by its own effect, and then it kind of just made a weird interaction. So that kind of just fixes things there, which is good. Now let's get into what everybody's really here, and let's talk about this bad boy here. And oh boy, who had most of these on their bingo card this morning? So let's see. Let's zoom in. So this is affecting for the restriction list for both English side too, because this literally says August 31st effective. So this means I think Canada's affected, and then Texas is affected by this, and this is all good information because we want to see this happening. But let's see what happens. So in this Digimon Card Games, we put up to 4 cards within the same card name in the deck, but in battle it held official, and official tournaments, the number of cards that can be put in the deck will be particularly prohibited or limited. These cards, there are 3 types of prohibited and restriction: ban cards, ban pairs, and restrictions to 1. Ban cards are cards that cannot be placed in the deck, and restriction cards are the maximum number of cards with the same number that can be placed in the deck. Number of parentheses at the end. So current rule, this will affect August 31st. Everybody's getting affected. So let's see who's getting the first hit. We knew Uku was gonna go somewhere, and Promo finally got it. It was envisioned as a card that could be used in a variety of decks along with Promo, Riowa, Louie, but the rule of this single card is greater than expected, such as an increase the speed of control decks that do not require level 3s and allow more options by security memory. As a result, there is a difference in power of decks that can and cannot employ this card. The variety of decks used is lost, so they basically realized they done. So let's be straight here, and this is good to see, actually. This is what you want to see, is that they realize this card comboed with its partner was just a little too powerful. We're going to hear a lot of Big Ugu players going like, but now I can't play my deck. What deck were you playing? The deck didn't exist. It is just an engine. It's not a real deck. Big Ugu is Big Ugu. This was eventual. I mean, you still got 5 Ukus. That's a lot to work with, but you know, this is very important. And at the end of the day, this now slows down Nume. This slows down Mirage. Not Mirage. Ancient Guru, Ancient Greymon are both now slowed down. Now they can't spam this boy out. Now this makes it so that resource wise, you have to play a little bit better, play a little bit smarter. Now you can't just go 8 Ukus, rush your damn opponent down. This is exactly what you needed. This is what you wanted to have. And I'm excited that they hit the Ukus where they needed to. Now, Louie got hit by repeatedly combining effects that do not have once per turn, such as BT6 Marishita with the when appearing effects of this card, the game speed is rapidly accelerated and many decks are unable to compete. They learned their god dang lesson. Louie had to go. This is exactly what you needed to do to hit multiple decks. This slows down the aggro decks in a way that doesn't kill the decks. This makes it so, you know, the combination of BT6 made ancient bonds or Gabu bonds ridiculously fast. There are very little ways you can handle against this deck, and oh my god, this definitely helps answer the biggest issues. At the end of the day, comboing with BT6 Mat, or even if you just say BT6 Tai, they're both very powerful combinations, and making it so that Agu bonds now kind of gets a light slap on the wrist really does help out slow things down. I mean, the fact that Louie is an accelerant comboed with those, because they're not start of main phase of their effects, or it's anytime that kind of came out, so you would be able to hatch, set one up, and then immediately do that. I had that done to me just yesterday. You know how scary that shit is when you have your opponent has 2 Marishitas, a Louie, and that thing is promoting a Gabu. Like, I don't want to die. I almost died. But you know, this is important to take a look at. The game speed is rapid of many decks. They use a countermeasure cards for the combination of varied decks has made it extremely difficult for decks that are strongly affected by countermeasure cards to play an extremely active role. The variety of decks used has been lost. For this, we eliminate it to 1. This makes sense. This makes sense that variety of decks are slowing down. That, you know, why would I play something else like Gabu bonds when I can go zoom 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 zoom? Now this makes sense. But good to see that Louie is going to 1. Oh man, nobody had Hammer Spark on their list. Let's be straight. Hammer Spark, rest in peace, Blue. I mean, I don't think Jack Ray's on here yet, but it was long been used in decks that combine blue. But with more card variations, it is now possible to use more than one draw effect, making it easier to use multiple cards in a single turn. As a result, it is easier to secure memory and increase the game speed, so the gap between decks that can use this card and those that do not is widening. So they're basically saying, you know what, the Gabu Bond deck, you guys are ridiculous if we can't just hit the Hammer Spark. So this also hurts a little bit of Ancient Guru, because now this is with the Louie hit, the Uku hit, and this. Now Ancient Guru is a little bit slowed down. That makes it a little bit more fair. Now they can't extend their spammy plays. I get it. This is actually really good way of handling things. Then, oh boy, so we're at the Awakening of the Golden Knight. So this was sort of on my radar. I forgot to mention this, but this is a really good hit. It is used in decks that have BT16 Magna X antibody as the main axis. By combining it with level 3s or other devices that support evolution, it is possible to attack while maintaining BT16's Magna X antibody on board at an earlier stages. So they're realizing that Magna, being able to get Magna X antibody for a reduced price, is a little ridiculous. They are agreeing that, you know what, we need to slow the deck down just a little bit by making sure it's fair. I like that. I think they hitting it to 1 still makes it a little much of a pain in the rear to deal with, but at least this makes it manageable. I think being able to deal with it a little bit more, now you don't have to deal with double Golden Awakenings in a turn. This definitely hurts a little bit more on the yellow vaccine version. I think they're trying to get people off the yellow vaccine, which is fine. The Bub moves are a very powerful increasing situation where a large number of decks cannot cope with it. This is what everybody's been saying. We just can't handle Magna X as early as they're planning, which is fine. I think because Magna X just gets out of hand because of its all turns effect, it just gets really, really powerful. But that's a good sign. Ooh, okay. I think Numon X is probably the better hit. If you're going to try to make in the Numon deck, the ability to maintain board from the beginning is high, and the evolution effects can be reused in a combination with other cards. So with this single card greatly increases the control of the entire deck. In addition, since it is possible to introduce level 6 as an effect, it is easy to evolve from there to a level 7 with a high output, and to create a board that unrelatedly surpasses it at the early stage. So yeah, basically they're saying, we know people are just doing the Numon X instant into the Mirage Bruin mode combo and making your opponent have a bad day. If the Bruin mode comes down too early, your opponent's locked out for a couple turns, and then you're just getting smacked in by the Nume Rush with the Ukus. So to be honest with you, with the combination of hitting Promo, Uku, and Numon X, this should bring Numon X down a peg, which is good to see. But creating a board so it is expected that this card will play a very large role in the deck, and the variety of cards employed will be lost. For the above reason, we're limiting it to 1. Now let's get into TK. Oh, I did not have TK. I thought Emissary would go, but I kind of get what's going on here. TK at multiple copies just gets a little bit out of hand. You know what? It's not killing off Pata. Pata is still around, which is good. Let me rephrase this. I don't think Pata's like right below this, but okay. Nope. This is the last card. Okay. So the deck's not completely dead in the water. It definitely hurt the Golden Boy version. So now this isn't, you're not playing around like, Mem Setter. 3 TKs, your opponent now just gets Pata to go breathe. And, they're trying to make it fair, and I get it. The hit to Yellow Vaccine's armor is better. By deploying multiple cards, it is possible to continuously secure a large amount of memory, and it is a card that greatly guarantees the stability of Yellow Vaccine decks that can use this card. In addition, the effect increases or decreases security can be active demonstrated with less memory, so the role of this card is very large, and from the beginning to the end of the game. In addition, you can activate with the memory you have secured after recovering, which slows down the game's tempo. So this is very important because it's just very powerful. Being able to manipulate is what they didn't want you to do, and it's smart because all you can do is like, oh, I don't want to activate TK right now, I can choose to choke my opponent at 1, and then boom, it's not a mandatory when it happens. So now this definitely has affected a lot of decks. I mean, being able to play TK, you go Pata and Raising, play TK, set yourself up by putting the champions in, suspending, giving your opponent from 3 to 2. Very commonplace. This happens a lot, and they're like, that turn 1 strong play needs to get toned down. I expected Emissary to be also on this list, but I'll take TK going, BT14. So I don't think the deck is dead, and Yellow Vaccine is still very powerful. As long as Pata still exists, the deck can do something. TK being slowed down a little bit, I think that's a smart play because you're still able to do anything you want in Yellow Vaccine. It's just TK is not going to be as easy to go like, oh yeah, maybe if I just make sure I have my champion. They're like, you're gonna have to go in blind, people. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna make you go in blind, and that's fine. I like the idea that it's not as easy to combo off with the Pata as before. Now this makes it a little bit more fair, but let's see. BT14, BT15, BT9, Starter Deck 2, promo. So a lot of promos getting hit, but we also have another card. So Starter Deck 6, Gabumon. I mentioned this earlier. I think this would have been fine to come off. I mentioned this in my restrictions. So we hit this. We got this. This was mentioned. This was thought about. This wasn't on my radar. This was a possibility. I don't think I mentioned it though. And this was definitely something. But taking a look at it now, Gabumon Starter Deck 6. In the environment that at the time this card was active, it was combined with Digimon with a continuous attack effect to perform multiple evolution effects without once per turn, increasing the speed and stability of decks that use trash. With the increase in the card pool, the number of ways to suppress attacks has increased, so we have determined that it has become more difficult than before to exert the effect of the card multiple times, so we're willing to change the limit from 1 to unlimited. So Purple Guru, guys, you can rejoice a little bit. You guys got something back, and this is good. You get your Gabumon back. Hopefully this is enough to actually make your deck viable, but that's just about it. I think this was definitely not on my list to come back fully. I know I mentioned it briefly. I think this could come back. One of them would be fine. So I was glad I got that right. But people are definitely going to say, why couldn't Greymon X come off? I think it's just a point of reference now. I think he's just in here for a good while. I think he's going to be in here for a good while. I do not expect this to ever come out. Eventually this card could come back. But outside of that, though, I think this restriction list is actually really good. I think across the board, we hit exactly what we needed to hit, slow down things. I just need to know if Canada's this list or not, because this is going to change up so much of the format. Oh God, this is going to be a good Canada weekend if that is the case. So guys, hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll catch you next one. Peace.